Hey guys, my name is Nate Garofalo. I'm here to talk to you guys about today's United States prescription drug problem. How many of you guys in here have had a prescription in the past month, 2 months? A lot of people in here. So, in the United States, we have a prescription drug problem. Prices are too high. Why? We have the marketplace is a lot different than when you go out and buy a TV. Patent laws on certain drugs, they can range up to 2 decades. Limits on Medicare, we'll get into that, and the middlemen. So when you go out and buy a TV, you go look for different sizes, best price, 480p, whatever, and that. And then you look for the product, and then you pay for the product. You get to choose. With prescription drugs, you don't get to choose, your doctor does. I mean, you pay. I mean, a lot of the times it's subsidized with insurance, but sometimes you get stuck with the bill. Now, it doesn't make any sense because the doctor can pick a product that he likes or has been marketed to. I mean, Big Pharmacy spent last year $24 billion directing just to medical professionals. So you can see, a lot of times doctors aren't properly informed. They go with the drugs they've always used or the drugs that they've been just marketed to. And that was from AARP. The patent laws, for just people who don't know what a patent is, it protects the right to sell a product. In this case, you can have multiple patents. Like with example, Pfizer's Viagra, sildenafil citrate is the drug name or the chemical that's in it, and it protects sildenafil citrate for being used as erectile dysfunction, and it protects it just the sildenafil citrate. They were the only ones who are allowed to produce it. And just basic economics tells us if you have one seller, they can raise the price and do whatever they want. If you have multiple sellers, like with drugs that have gone generic, they're far less costly. And then it comes to Medicare. Medicare is government supplemented insurance for Americans 65 and older. Medicare Part D covers their prescription drugs. Anyone who is eligible for Medicare Parts A and B becomes eligible for Part D. With Medicare, the problem with that is when it was passed into law in 2006, Part D, is they can't negotiate directly with manufacturers. They have some negotiating power, but not directly with the manufacturers. And this was because lobbyists came into Washington from the drug companies saying that'll create problems it'll fix prices. Well, that's with the VA. So anyone who served in the military has access to the VA. They are very selective with the drugs they'll subsidize, and it's almost the same. It's almost quite like Medicare, but they get 80% less of the cost, and that's from the political history of Medicare. Too many hands in the cookie jar. I mean, there's middlemen. Everybody's reaching for their share of the money. Medical wholesalers come and they're contracted with the manufacturers, like companies like Cardinal Health, AmerisourceBergen. Those are one of the two biggest in the industry. And then PBMs, pharmacy benefit managers, they're supposed to negotiate on the behalf of consumers, but oftentimes they take the side of the big pharmacies. So they're supposed to get rebates from manufacturers, but like any business, they keep a portion of the rebates and don't pass it along to the consumer sometimes, and they'll even have backdoor deals with manufacturers that they won't ask for the best price. Now, the pharmacies have to have a good reason of course they do. I mean, what they say is, this is some of the minor ones, they say 10% of the total healthcare spending in the United States is on prescription, and that's opposed to 32% on hospitalization. And then the U.S., being one of the best country in the world, according to some, has access to the newest medicine first, and they'll get typically 2 years ahead of Europe. But the primary is the research and development. Now, these companies can spend up to 10 years and $2.6 billion on new drugs. Now, that's a heck of a lot of money. Not really. Actually, out of the $2.6 billion claimed to be spent, only 1.3 is actually spent. The other 1.3 is actually money not gained because the drug is in it's like not dividends not gained because the drug's in development. And then 38 of the largest drug manufacturers, net revenue was 1.7 billion last year. And that's after our research and development expenses were coming out. And just for comparison, Adidas did just under 1 point, so that's like 38 Adidas is running around. And that's the average. So, I mean, like Merck, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, they're doing 10 billion in revenue. None of that's illegal, it's just kind of unethical. Short-term solution, a lot of this would probably take a minor miracle for it to happen with getting things passed through Congress, which is at this point really difficult and at any point in time. You need to shorten patent times, and especially not allowing these people to re-up their patents, because once a patent comes up, you can go in and say you have a new type of extended release formula, something like that. Restrict the PBMs and how much they're making and how much they're not passing along, more regulation. And then a long-term solution, this would also socialize medicine. As much as I disagree with 90% of what comes out of Bernie Sanders' mouth, he's actually right in this case. Most countries in Europe are using it, Canada. It would actually save Americans money, the majority of Americans, because how much money people are paying for health insurance, you'd get taxed significantly less than what you'd actually be paying in health care for that year. It's not the Affordable Care Act, because everybody would get this, not just the Affordable Care Act was subsidizing some bases you couldn't keep your doctor, even though it was said you could, which you couldn't. And it just, in the long run, businesses who have to pay for their employees' health care save them money. And it just basically summing everything up in the end, it's because of a contorted marketplace, Medicare limits on negotiating drug prices, patent laws, too many people with their hands in the cookie jar, and then just reasoning for the high pricing, and socialized medicine would be our best bet. Thank you, guys.